Okay, we're moving on. Now the last lesson we did was reviewing everything we learned so far. Now we're on to lesson 5, homework 5, which is application of rational function. And I hope you guys all know how to find this document because what I showed you in the last video, I believe, this is on Google Classroom and our Google website. All right, and the homework numbers themselves for the homework are on the Google Calendar. So we'll go through a couple examples for the notes, and you guys can start the homework. So the first one, we're using the same things we've learned. So there's nothing new here. It's just application. So there's going to be some pictures involved and some scenarios where you're going to use these rational functions. So in this case, we have a rectangle, and we're given a length and a width in terms of rational expressions, and we need to multiply them together. So 2x times, if we're going to find the area, all we do is length times width, right? So multiply these length and width together. 2x over x squared minus 12x plus 27 times x squared minus 81 over 4x cubed plus 36x squared. And I'm going to have to rewrite that because I didn't leave myself any room to work here. Okay. Now, we want to simplify these, right? So the first thing we want to do is not just multiply across like we do with fractions. You know, it's top times top, bottom times bottom. But we first want to factor everything, if you recall, because if we factor everything, then we can get some things to cancel and simplify. So let's factor first. All right, I'm going to factor this up here into x minus 9, x plus 9. That is a difference of two squares pattern, if you recall. And in the bottom, I'm going to pull out a 4 from everything, and I'm also going to pull out an x squared from everything, and that leaves me with x, and then if I pull out a 4, I end up with x plus 9 left over in the bottom here. Okay, so now something's going to cancel already, I can see. Let's look over here. Let's see if the bottom factors. So let's see if we can get two linear factors out of the denominator here. Two things that multiply to be 27 and add to be 20. So 9 and 3. So we need them both negative. So x minus 3, x minus 9. That is the factorization of this right here. So good. Now we get some things to cancel. This plus 9 cancels with this plus 9. This minus 9 cancels with this minus 9. And we get 2 goes into 4 2 times. And this x cancels with one of these x, leaving one left over. So our final answer in the top looks like we just have 1. We don't have anything left, so just 1. In the bottom, we still have this x minus 3. We also have a 2, and we have an x. So I'm going to write the 2x first, and then the x minus 3. And there's our final answer. Okay, let's try another one. Let's try number 3. This time they give us the area, and they give us the length, and they want us to find the width. So area equals length times width. If they give us the area, and they give us the length, obviously we're going to divide both sides by the length, and then that will give us the width. So that's what we need to do. We need to take the area and divide it by the length. So we have a squared. Actually, I'll write it down here. So here's the area divided by the length. Now, we skipped this. This section was homework 3. This is simplifying complex fractions, which is still a good skill to have. So if you want to stick with me to finish this problem, I would advise you to do so. But we're not going to test you over finishing this part. All right. To finish it, what you need is you need a common denominator here. So you're going to multiply top and bottom of this by b. So 1 becomes b over b, so you have a common denominator here. And same thing here, this becomes b squared over b. You multiply top and bottom by b to get a common denominator. Now you can simplify. You have a squared over b squared in the top divided by b divided by a plus b over b. And then dividing by a fraction is the same as multiplying by the reciprocal. So what you would do is you would switch this part and multiply by the reciprocal. So this is gone now. And then these cancel. And this is a difference of two squares, which actually factors. So let me write what we have so far. What we have so far is a squared minus b squared over a plus b. But this a minus b turns into a plus b, a minus b. That's our difference of two squares pattern. Okay, we've been dealing with a lot. And our final answer is just a minus b. Okay, let's do a tougher one now. 5 is, we want the volume. Volume is length times width times height for a rectangular prism, as you learned in geometry. So we need to multiply the length times width times height of all these expressions. So we're just going to write them out and multiply them all out. I'll do that next. Okay, now order doesn't matter when you multiply, so just write them out, multiply them. Hopefully I don't run out of room here. But now I'm going to factor everything because I want factors to cancel. So we're going to go through the work of trying to factor everything. So let's start with, I guess, top left. We want to try to factor this into two linear factors. So This looks like a tough one to factor. I don't see a common factor that comes out. So once again, what we did for this, let me grab a separate sheet of paper. Okay, so to factor by grouping, we multiply the first times last, and that's what we need the two numbers to multiply to. And the middle term is what we need the two numbers to add to. So you start with the 60 and you just divide it by 2, by 4, by numbers until you get a number that goes into 60 and then also adds to 32. And the one you're going to come to is 30 finally. 30, or 2, actually, if you start with 2, that'll work. That'll get you there even quicker. But 30x and 2x, right? Those multiply to be 60x squared, and if you make them both negative, they add to be negative 32x. So that's what I'm looking for there. So I'm going to replace this polynomial with these two factors in the middle term, like this. And then we group together the first two terms and pull out what we can. So we can pull out a 5 and an x, and that leaves us with an x minus 6. And then we do the same thing here. Group together these two terms, pull out what you can, which is a negative 2, and that leaves you with an x minus 6. And then we can factor out the x minus 6, and we're left with 5x minus 2. So that was factored by grouping that we did earlier in the year. I know that wasn't easy, and it's easy to forget that, but let me write that down. X minus 6, 5x minus 2, all over 10x cubed. Now we're going to factor this. So this is 18x squared, and then in the bottom we'll pull out the biggest numbers we can. So let's see what we can pull out here from these two. Okay, we can pull out a 9, we can pull out an x, and we're left with 5x minus 2. All right, and that makes sense because these two factors are going to cancel. All right, and then this one, we need two numbers that multiply to be 48 and add to be 12. All right, so that 6 and 8. So x plus 6, x plus 8 should do it. And then in the bottom we have a difference of two squares, so it's going to be 6 minus x and 6 plus x. So this is a really tough one. All right, so let's try to factor. Let's try to cancel some things and simplify first, I guess. 5x squared, or I'm sorry, 5x minus 2, 5x minus 2. We've got... let's see, this is where it gets really tricky. Two of these x's cancel with two of these, leaving one left. All right, 9 goes into 18 2 times. All right, let's see. Now, this x plus 6 and 6 plus x are the same. Okay, so those cancel. All right, and this x minus 6 and 6 minus x, we learned earlier in the first homework assignment that these are the same but with a minus sign. So we're going to have an extra minus sign. All right, it's really tricky, but let's write what we have so far. It's getting confusing. We have a minus sign on the top, we have a 2 in the top, and we have an x plus 8 in the top. And then in the bottom we have a 10, we have an x to the first, another x, so that's x squared. So we have 10x squared, and that's it. Everything else canceled. Now we can cancel this 2 with this 10, leaving a 5 left. So I guess our final answer is negative quantity x plus 8 over 5x squared. Let's just try a few more here. Number 7, we want an expression to represent the perimeter. Perimeter, we just add up all the sides. And since these two sides are the same and the widths are the same, we're just going to double this and add them up. So you have 2 times this quantity, x squared plus 8x over x plus 5. And then we also have 2 of this quantity, 15 over x plus 5. Whoops, big parenthesis. So we're going to want to distribute, and we get 2x squared plus 16x and plus, and then this is going to be 30, and then everything's over the common denominator, x plus 5. Okay. I don't know if anything simplifies, but let's try. Let's pull out a 2 from everything first. Pull out a 2, we have x squared plus 8x, not parenthesis, plus 15, all over x plus 5. And let's see if anything cancels now if we simplify this by factoring. So x plus 3 and x plus 5, and then the x plus 5's cancel, and we get this is our final answer. All right, let's try one more. Alright, I made such a mess with this last problem when I did it the first time that I'm going to have to pause it, re-record it, delete that, and edit it out. So what I'm trying to do is the area of this trapezoid, right? The area of the trapezoid is 1/2 height times base 1 plus base 2 that you learned about in geometry class, right? Well, the height is this 12x over x squared minus 2x minus 35, right? So we've got the height, and then the base 1 plus base 2, here's where I made a mistake. X plus 3 over x plus 9 over 2x. So I wrote x there instead of 2x. I didn't copy that down right, and as a result, I did the problem wrong, and I tried to fix it, and it was just really confusing. So let's just redo it here. Okay, what we want to do is simplify this big mess. I guess what I'm going to do first is factor everything that I can factor, so I'll factor this in the bottom. This factors into x minus 7, and then x plus 5, because two things that multiply to be negative 35 and add to be negative 2 are negative 7 and 5. And then these, I need a common denominator, so I'm going to multiply the top and the bottom of this by 2 to get that common denominator. And then I'm left with, I'll distribute 2x plus 6 plus x plus 9 all over 2x. Okay, that simplifies now. So let me rewrite it and just add 2x plus x to get 3x and 6 plus 9 to get 15. Alright, and now we're going to try to simplify. So first, actually, I'm going to factor out a 3 from this as well. So if I pull out that 3, then I'm left with just x plus 5. Alright, now I can cancel everything that cancels. So x plus 5 cancels. Let's see. The x cancels. Alright, 2 goes into 12 6 times, but 2 also goes into 6 3 times. So I'm left with 3 times 3, which is 9 in the top. All over x minus 7 is my final answer. Alright, I hope this helps. Good luck on the homework. Please let me know if you have any questions, and we'll do a Zoom or another video or whatever you guys need. Please let me know. I hope you have a great day.